Hello, hello. Well, today we're going to talk about loving yourself. Loving yourself, why it's important, even when you don't like what you see. Usually, loving yourself means liking yourself. And most people will say, how do I love myself if I don't even like myself? They'll talk to me about that because it's just so far from where they are now. They don't understand how those two things could even be possible. But if you don't like your body, you don't like yourself, if you can't find some kind of love, then it makes weight loss, relationships, and just life in general so much harder. With my personal coaching clients, this is a tough one. They come to me because they don't like their weight. They don't like their body. They don't like themselves. And many times they definitely don't like their life, what's going on or how it all happens, the story. And so when they come to me, I like to think of three things why it's so important for them that they have to find some kind of self love, some type of self appreciation so that they can learn to like themselves and then love themselves. The first thing is that it keeps them from caring for themselves. And so you have basic habits, basic needs, self-care. If you are not taking care of yourself, weight loss does not happen. Weight loss is a bunch of tiny little habits done again and again and again. It's not one thing. And so if you're not finding some kind of love or care for yourself, you won't find it that you are even worthy of it. You won't think of yourself as being deserving of it. And so what happens is your basic habits don't happen. You'll find so many reasons not to do them. And so for you to lose weight, you have to develop these habits of self-care. No one else can do it for you. This is one of those things like, unless you're going to have someone else completely responsible for everything your body does, all of its needs, taking care of it, bathing it, all the things, what food you put into it. These are all yours. These are your responsibilities. And so, yes, other people have influences and things like that. But if it's your responsibility and you don't even like yourself, you're going to continually find reasons to not do those habits, to not take care of your body or your food or whatever the thing is. And so, finding some room for that love, it'll help you continue to take care of yourself. The second thing, imagine all the things that your weight loss has kept you from doing. So, the reason why it's so important for you to learn how to love yourself, we've talked about the self care, the habit. Imagine that you weren't able to get on the floor with your grandkids. Imagine that you have decided to not take that trip you always wanted because you're not sure if the seatbelt will even go around you. You don't want to make a scene and maybe take up too much space. Gosh forbid we have space. And so maybe that you're not going and buying new clothes because you keep thinking that I'll get smaller someday and then I'll buy the clothes that I feel good in. I don't even want to now. And that's very complicated. It could be the store, it could be worthiness, it could be so many things. For me, I've talked about this many times. Weight loss was starting to interfere with me being able to go on adventures. So hiking and camping and backpacking and doing all those fun things. I remember when I first started trying to lose weight, I really wanted to learn how to surf. And we were in Hawaii. So that was amazing. And how hard it was for me to get up on that board. And so self-love is going to promote that I deserve to be able to surf. I deserve to be able to get on and off the floor with the kids. I deserve all of these things. And those are all going to be things that will be a product of your weight loss. The weight loss is great, but that's just a number on a scale. It's being able to feel great in our clothes and being able to do the activities we love and not being held back from absolutely anything that we've ever wanted to do. So many of the women I talk to have some story. of what they feel like they can't do because of weight loss. Somebody told me that they couldn't go to, I want to say it was like their niece or nephew, because they didn't have kids, but they couldn't go to their little league games because they didn't fit on the stand. And so they couldn't sit there and they couldn't walk that far out there to be able to watch the game and then not know if they'd be able to sit down. They were afraid they would break the old boards on the seating out at the baseball game, the little league game, whatever it was. And so that held them back immensely. And that gets in your head, that kind of thing. Like, you know what you can't do and you'd love to be able to do it. But then we start thinking about how we did this to ourselves. We think about how hard it's going to be and what a long road it's going to be. And so we don't do that. And that stems from that self-love, some of that worthiness. So when they're telling me these things, my heart breaks so much again and again and again for them. They'll tell me that their kids or their spouse, how they treat them, which leads me to my third example here of why it's so important to learn how to like yourself so that you can love yourself. You are an example to other people, whether you like it or not. And you teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. And so I hear this all the time about how people are so upset with the way people treat them. Stop letting them treat you that way. That doesn't mean the other person's going to just stop ever being like a complete, butthole. But like what it means is you're not going to stick around for it. You're not going to stick around and let them. And then if it's somebody important in your life, a relative, a child, a spouse, a parent, you're going to let them see that you are a person who demands more. My brother told me one time he was really mad at me, and I won't go into why he was mad at me, but he said, I can't even yell at you because you're a goody. And I said, I have no idea what that means. And he said, a goody's a person like that does good things and that is a good person, and you have to be nice to goodies. And I don't know where in the world he got this idea at, but I'm going to take it as a compliment, even though I'm not sure that that's what he meant it as. I am a person who demands respect. I respect myself most of the time. I've developed it, right? Like we all are. We're always growing into that. And so he realized I was not a person to yell at or demean or talk down to. And it actually, even when he was mad at me, stopped him from talking to me a way that he would have thought he could of somebody else. I demanded that respect. I taught him how to teach me, even when I didn't realize I was doing that. If you have daughters, this is the one that really tugs at my heart. If you have a daughter and they're watching you, and they are, I'm going to tell you they absolutely are, a daughter, a granddaughter, whatever it is, they're watching you. You're giving them examples of how to treat themselves too. When I see that, I'm like, oh gosh, we want so much more for them. I have so many nieces. And when their hearts break or when they're so self-critical or any of those kind of things, it breaks my heart. I love them to pieces and I want them to see themselves the way I see them. And so when I hear anything other than that, it breaks my heart. But how many times was I the example of not loving myself, not showing them how to appreciate all of me, all of me? And that doesn't mean you can't lose weight. Like, I absolutely think that you are perfect exactly today as you are and have no need to be more beautiful or more perfect than you are because I see the beauty already. But we can grow and we can change out of difference, not out of something being wrong with us. So, who is watching you? So, those are some three examples, how it prevents you from caring for yourself and those habits that are required for weight loss, how the weight loss and feeling yourself not worthy enough, what it could be holding you back in life, your day to day, your relationships, your adventures like me, right? And then how you show other people how to treat you. If you're not loving yourself or even being able to have like a baseline appreciation for yourself, you will not be able to appreciate it either. They won't be able to appreciate you. They'll think of you as a person who is not appreciative. Sometimes they'll still do it because how many times have you loved somebody more than they love themselves? But it's still an example. So, uh, just making sure I read my note right. This brain of mine likes to jump ahead. So, self-compassion, it leads to worthiness. And that's kind of sometimes where we start. Be compassionate. We can be compassionate with so many people. We find people in our lives that we do not like either. I told my son when he was little, we have friends and we have friendlies. And friendlies might be there for a good time, but they're not the people who we tell all of our secrets to. And the friendlies, even when they let us down, we can be compassionate that they were just trying to find their place in the world too, or whatever it was. I have found so much compassion, even for people who are not in the friendly category. Let's not talk about the friend category. They're not in the friendly category. And I can still find compassion for them. I can find compassion for them as a human being. I can find compassion for them as somebody that God loves. I always go to that one when I have a hard time doing it myself. I remember how human I am and what it would be like to love like God. And so I can find that self-compassion for other people, even when I don't want to sometimes. I can definitely develop the self-compassion for myself in that example. And so self-compassion will lead to worthiness. You can see how that example goes. If we have compassion, then we can find out that like we were worthy of the compassion, which then leads to appreciation. And if we can appreciate, we're not perfect, we'll never be perfect, but we're kind of perfectly imperfect. We are beautifully and wonderfully made. We are perfectly imperfect. And in that, we can find love. It'll start as a like and it'll grow to a love. But if you don't start somewhere, you don't ever develop that. And then what all are you missing out on? So, what I want to say is find something. This is my challenge for you. Find something that you can appreciate, some little thing you can be compassionate about, something that you can appreciate, one or the other. I find a place to be compassionate with yourself, or find a place that you can appreciate yourself. From there, and it might be a physical trait, it might be a personality trait, it might be something that you do well, even though you minimize it every single time. I want to warn you though, because when you start this, finding things that you appreciate about yourself or finding things that you kind of think maybe were something that you think it's allowable to say you like about yourself. I know it's hard language. So when you start in that process, what happens is all the thoughts and feelings come up. So this is your warning because it's going to happen. Things like only people with big egos talk to themselves like this, or this is so silly, it feels so fake, and then you'll dismiss it all away. So that is your warning. Beware and be ready to talk back to that. And that's exactly how I help people. So your next step would be to take the free course. So you can experience weight loss this time that is so simple, so doable, so sustainable. I teach very simple steps, no rules. The habits you develop are doable because we know the best program to lose weight is actually the one that you can keep doing. So simple and doable is a requirement. Otherwise, we're not going to have sustainable. Quitting always ensures that it doesn't work. And I want to teach you how to lose weight so you never have to diet again. I want to teach you how to love yourself. If this sounds great to you, go ahead, stay tuned. I'm going to have my free course and how to get that on next. I'll see you next week.
That wraps up another empowering episode of the Concierge Weight Loss Podcast. I hope you found inspiration and actionable insights that will propel you towards your weight loss goals. If you're ready to dive deeper and accelerate your progress, don't miss out on our free 5-day quick start weight loss course. Head over to coachingkara.com/free course to gain access to a wealth of valuable resources, guidance, and support. The time for change is now, and I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Remember, your transformation starts with a single step. Take that step today and unlock the life you deserve. Stay tuned for our next episode, and remember to keep striving for greatness.